Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to use Random Flow to create simple city blocks, and then after that we're going to create a procedural shader to texture those buildings. So you can use it for as background assets for your scene. Okay, so to start with, we're going to play, and to save up on time I'm just going to use like probably 5 iterations. So you can use a plane for this and just use more squares. But for this one, inset and then press I again. So I for inset, then press I again to activate individual insetting. Actually, make this a bit more square. So the operator we're going to use is random slice. I'm just going to use the default and not just preset. So okay. Here we're going to create the margin. So inner margin and push the cuts to something like 200 to avoid those thin slices of the extruded faces. You can use the minimum length, so something like 1.5. That's too much. 0.025. Okay. Maybe just the inner margin some more. The the depth actually is the height of the building in this case. Wait, slide. You can just randomize, use the cutscene to randomize the look of the city blocks after you've settled with the parameters that you want to use. So 300. Afterwards, you can just go in and edit some of the result. So if you like the general look of the seed value, but don't like some of the other areas, you can just go in and edit it manually. Actually, it's just really I don't like that. Oh, 200. The cut amount resets to 100. I forgot. Something like 250. There we go. Here for maximum depth at 0.025 depth. We play around with the cutscene again. Right? Let's reduce that to 0.02. Okay, let's start with this one. And I'm going to remove the this platform here. We can now actually make a procedural shader for this. So since these are mostly just angular rectangles, Q project for the UV shader. So I'm going to use the brick texture. Brick and set it to vector. Now we're going to activate the viewport render and push scale. So this will represent the windows in the buildings, and you can just play around with the size that you want. After this, just play or experiment with the settings. Smaller size, there's a bit of smoothing, bias. So the bias will help with the next step, which is the lighting. With let's make it squarish and row squash. This is the mindset. Five, frequency frequency 12. Then for the next step is the emission. We're going to use the same texture. Let's start with 10 strength and use the texture here. Then control this with a color ramp. So this is the great starting shader for you. This will be really simple and you can just build up on it. We have the shader for the buildings, but the problem is the top part. With buildings don't have windows that are pointing up. So we need to cover the color, next color, and set to multiply. Then we're going to use the geometry of the object. Wait, my mic is actually not close. Wait, sorry about that. And um, geometry, go to input and use geometry. Then we're going to use the normal information from the geometry, but we're going to separate the z axis and multiply. So that's combined z axis. Converter, separate x, y, z, not combined. Okay, there we go. But it's not covering up the right part. So we need to invert the color. Go to color, invert color. There we go. But there's still lights in the top. So we need to actually multiply it to the light like that. Okay. Now the problem is the text. Now the problem is the texture of the top part. So you can use your own texture here, but for this, you can use Dribble Bake or Random Flow for baking the detail here. But to save time, I'm just going to use an existing JS placement texture that I have created like years before. so, so this part here. Um, this one. Let's set this to add. Okay. And we're going to use the Z axis again to actually cover the part or the side. There we go. And just use this texture on the top. So I didn't use the invert on this one, so it only like multiplied on the sides of the building. And then control, let's use color ramp again for this texture here, so we can control the intensity. And the control the colors using the color ramp. Okay, something like 12. Again, you can use your own texture here just to break up just to create an interest in the or shapes on the top of the building. Okay, I'm going to use another texture, see if it's better. So since we used an actual image texture, this is semi procedural, not fully procedural. Oh my god, I'm hitting the wrong button. Okay, this one probably not the best textures for the top part, but you get the idea. There we go. Okay, and to break the flatness of the specular on the surface, we're going to create the bump detail from this texture details. It's not going to be accurate, but it's going to be enough for the effect that we want to achieve. Vector, bump, and then set it connected to the normal of the shader, and then this is our texture. Set it to height, and again control it with the color ramp. Okay, that is too much. We can probably invert this. There we go. And just set it to something like 0.4 or 0.25. That's too much. And then use this for roughness as well. So for these settings, you can use your own, but this is what I like to do. So it's just very simple. So it just breaks up the way that the light reacts on the surface instead of just this versus this. And you can control the intensity here. Actually, let's not use color ramp for the bump and just use this to control the roughness. So I think the full reflection is from the black part. Let's just raise it up. Okay. And reduce the strength to something like 0.05 for the normal so it wouldn't be too harsh. Something like 0.1. There we go. And let's go back to our brick texture and mortal bias. Okay. And actually, we're going to use another color ramp. So this is the emission. We need another color ramp for its contribution to the color. We'll set this and can control the intensity of the color that is contributing to the shader. So yeah, something like that. So just a simple And it also depends on your lighting, of course. So depending on the lighting that you're using, you need to just modify the settings of this of the shader. Okay. So another thing that you can do is let's just try this. Select the top of the building, Shift G, and select similar by normal. So you can let's use random slice again. You can create another whoops point show another set of detail on top of this just to break up the top part of the buildings. Points one, okay, point zero two, point zero zero five, and point zero one, something like 100, 500, and then I think there's a pro. There we go. So basically randomizes the existence of the face island. So you can have spots where there's no extrusions and where there are extrusions. Just to break the top part to give it like a bit more detail. But uh, it's starting to uh, using it on all these faces at the same time is slowing down the operator. So what we need to do is just separate them as their own object. So we can have more details. Shift G, normal, and use the operator again, something like 200. And minimum length is 0. Okay, 300. So just be careful with the values. Don't use too much. Minimum length is 0.02, okay, 0.01. There we go. Let's view the. Okay, that's good. And we use 300. So just remember the amount. And actually, we're going to modify the thickness. There we go. And then do the same thing for the other city blocks. Hit G, normal. Whoops. In edit mode, it slices the faces with edge cuts. To avoid crashes, the operator resets to 100 every time you use it. The cut amount defaults to 100 every time you use it on a new set of faces. Okay, so as you can see, we have broken down the top of the building with our texture. And let's see. There we go. It's much better looking now than just those flat things. Okay, there's spiking here. And this is because of this of the margin probably. And so let's delete this. Let's actually make sure that there's no doubles. Okay, Shift G, normal. So let's just repeat the iteration or the randomization and use random C to get rid of the spiking. Spiking is probably from the inner margin or even from the thickness. Yeah, it's from the thickness. Let's increase the minimum length 0.02. Doesn't 0.01. Distance if a vertex exactly on the same plane. What? Uh, I don't remember that. Even that. Let's just use off to get rid of the spiking. There we go. All right. And go to the shader. I'm going to save this. And let's just introduce a bit of bevel. Just a small bevel. Extras, shading, and a bevel node. And let's just fix the radius because it's too much. 0.0001. Okay. 0.005. Too much. 0.002. Okay. 0.001. 0.001. There we go. Just to soften the sharp edges. So if we disable this, it's too sharp and kind of softens it up. Just very subtle because this is these are supposedly very large structures, so you know too much large bevels are actually just for small objects. It's okay. Yes, so that is your building. So mostly for night scenes or dark scenes, but I haven't tested it with daylight. I guess you can use it with daylight as well since this will be rendered far away anyway. And contribution to the texture, you can just do that. And then modify some of the other settings to actually make it look good for daylight scenes. So yeah, just a simple shader setup to create this building effect. And let's see, let's go back to the light. And is this the light? So we can also use bias for this. There we go. Okay. So you can create different looks just by uh, modifying the shader. So this is the entire shader, and I'm just going to arrange this. So this is our bump detail and our bevel, and this is our uh, normal node to create the masks for the top of the building and the side of the building. This is our texture for the top of the building and color ramp to control its intensity. And this is our main texture, which is the brick texture, another color ramp for its intensity, as its for its contribution to the color of the model. And here we have another color ramp for the roughness. So this is the entire shader. So you can pause the video and look at it. Okay. So that is it. And I hope you learned another workflow that you can use the add-ons with. Yeah. So if you have any questions, just the comment section below or the links in the description. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.